This is a little quick review update of my 2023 Challenger Elite. Got about 2,300 miles on it now. Just kind of got done doing the break-in period. Guys coming past. Anyway, did the break-in period, which is 500 miles. I did that in like the first 2.5 days. Went down that Saturday. Bought it on a Tuesday, or picked it up on a Tuesday. Went back down that Saturday, got my 500-mile break-in service, and following week and a half after that, took it straight up to the Smoky Mountains. So this is my first bagger and first cruiser really altogether. I come from sport bikes, so altogether it has a sport bike or sport cruiser. I'm sorry, it has a sport cruiser. It actually does really good. It feels a lot like my sport bike, just a little bit bigger. I have a Yamaha R1 that I typically normally used to ride before I got this thing. But really, this thing is really just a big sport bike with bags and a lot of storage. It's got inverted forks. It's got dual Brembo, dual disc Brembos on the front. I believe it has Brembos on the rear also. You can't really see back there, but yeah, I believe it has Brembos on the rear too. But this thing is it's a beast. It really is. It's got the power band 4-speaker audio system, which I think is really loud and it does really well. I don't see why anybody else would feel the need to upgrade it unless you just really want to be obnoxiously loud and everybody to hear you, like from like a mile away, because everybody can already hear me from a good distance away now. But as far as it as a bagger, from the limited amount of baggers that I've ridden, it's pretty good bagger. I like it. It's really fun to ride. It's really chill. It's smooth. Guys, stop and check out, make sure I'm all right. It's really smooth. It's got loads of power, like 122 horsepower, 128 foot-pounds of torque. You really feel that torque in the down-low range whenever you're riding on it, and it just feels really awesome. Okay, well, that sounded terrible. The up and down windshield, the movable windshield is pretty awesome. You just hit the switch up once and it'll move up a little bit, or you double tap it and it goes up automatically, or you double tap it down, it goes down automatically. That's a really great feature. The infotainment system is pretty awesome. I like it. It does pretty good. The only thing that I don't like about it is that you have to have a headset hooked up to use your Apple CarPlay. And also your Apple CarPlay is not wireless. That's the only thing I don't like. So whenever you're running your Apple CarPlay, you have to have your cord sticking out the bottom of your little cubby hole, and the cord ran over here just to have it up on the screen. I would really like it to where you would have wireless Apple CarPlay. That way you can keep your phone like in your vest pocket, or just stick it in the cubby hole with it. I guess you could do that also with it plugged in, but having to have a headset to do the wireless or to do the Apple CarPlay at all is kind of ridiculous. Like, because I mean, that means you had to go out and buy a headset and have a headset hooked up, or you had to wear a full face helmet and have your headset hooked up. So far, I have not figured out how to have my Apple CarPlay hooked up to my phone and still run my music without it trying to go through the headset. Every time I hook it up to the headset to do the Apple CarPlay, it always tries to convert the music going through the headset, and that just doesn't work. Because I wear a half helmet when I'm on this thing, because this is my cruiser. That's the only really complaint I have about it. As far as the infotainment system goes, this has the electronically controlled rear shock, which works really good. You can actually feel the difference whenever you have the different settings, because you can type in the weight, whatever weight you have. If you have an extra rider with you, you can type all that stuff in and it comes up. and you can kind of feel the bike lift up if it has that extra weight when you're sitting on it. Or like when you put it back as just single rider, you'll kind of feel it sit back down a little bit. So that electronically controlled rear shock is great. You can do it for each individual bag too. So however much weight you have on each side, you can put that in there. Each bag will hold 22 pounds. So that's I mean, I feel like that's a pretty good amount of weight. I had on my recent Smoky Mountain trip that I just got back from, I had this side full of my camera gear, drone, a toiletry bag, some other things all in there, all in that bag. And on this side, I had this side filled with my duffel bag. Got my whole duffel bag to fit in there with 6 days worth of clothes in it. So I had nothing sitting on the back. I was able to fit everything in my bags, and it was really nice to keep it out of the weather just in case we ran into anything. And it just gives a nice clean look when you can have everything fit in your saddlebags and not have to worry about anything. The only complaint I have about the suspension, now the suspension is great, but the only complaint I have about the suspension, and it's the front suspension, is that it's a little too soft for my liking. Whenever you really get down on it, you can really feel the front end raise up, and when you're under heavy braking, it really dives forward a lot more than I would like. But I also understand that even though this is a sport bagger, it's still a bagger, and it's not meant to have super sport bike suspension like my R1 is. But that's the only complaint I really have about the suspension or anything on this bike. Other than that, I love it. It's great. I would like to get an exhaust for it soon, because these stock mufflers just don't sound good at all. It's really quiet. And at some point I would like to get the ECU flashed as soon as they crack the encryption on these 2023 ECUs. I would definitely like to get an ECU flash to get the max potential out of this thing. But I guess that's really all I got. I guess we'll do a little startup video, and then we'll go from there and head on back to the house. It's nothing to write home about, but I mean, it sounds fairly good for a stock exhaust. But that's all I got for my 2023 Challenger Elite review at 2,300 miles in about 3 weeks, which I guess for a lot of people that's really not a lot at all. But we'll come back at 5,000 mile review and see what she's doing then, and see what upgrades I've got. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys later.